Democrats are celebrating at least this. Well, at least when we lose elections, we don't moan and groan and we turn over the reins of power orderly. Check out what Bill Maher said, number 20.
Tell me why this is okay with you.
Well, genuine thank you to Biden and Harris for doing what they should do, right?
That he didn't do.
Yeah, and
Trump.
yes, and Biden is, by the way, I'm not sure he knows he's in the room with Hitler, but he gets half credit for doing this peacefully, right? But I think there's another thing here. We had a contest in democracy by listening to the voters about what they cared about most. And I think one of the issues with voters was that making January 6th, 9/11, making that day into everything, did not win that fight. It didn't win the fight about what they cared about most. There were other things in their personal lives.
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, you know that if Trump had lost this election, right now, we would be talking about the votes that are still coming in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and he'd be in the courts, and we would just be all in a trigger. One side accepts election losses and one side doesn't. This asymmetry cannot continue.
Okay. One side accepts the results of elections, the other side does not. Really? Really? We've gone over some of this already. 2000, Al Gore files a lawsuit, goes all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court rules that the count should stop. And to this day, Al Gore will tell you that the Supreme Court elected George W. Bush. Not the voters. Supreme Court. And then in 2004, W gets reelected. Ohio, he wins Ohio. 30 House members, including Benny Thompson, the chair of the January 6th committee, joined Senator Barbara Boxer of California to object to the certification of Ohio, claiming that the Diebold voting machines had been tampered with. 2016, upset election. Trump beats Hillary. They challenged 12 states, more than Donald Trump challenged 4 years later. This idea that they accept election results and we don't. This is what happened after George W. Bush won. This is in January of 2001, number 13.
On the day George W. Bush was inaugurated, tens of thousands of Americans poured into the streets of D.C. in one last attempt to reclaim what had been taken from them. They pelted Bush's limo with eggs and brought the inauguration parade to a halt. The plan to have Bush get out of the limo for the traditional walk to the White House was scrapped. Bush's limo hit the gas to prevent an even larger riot. No president had ever witnessed such a thing on his inauguration day.
Limo pelted with eggs? Are you kidding me? That was 2001, Inauguration Day, George W. Bush. Now let's talk about January 2017. Donald Trump wins the election, and this happens, number 14.
No nations.
side.
If you wanted to sum up a slogan that was the exact opposite of what Donald Trump is about, then perhaps that would be it.
About 2.5 miles of downtown Washington have been closed off around the Capitol building and Congress. So police will have sealed off that area, preventing those protesters being able to get through to the inauguration ceremony. Officials did say ahead of the event that they had organized or had catered for around 100 protest groups, and they were finding it difficult to do that, finding them areas where they could protest. Whether this is one of those protests, an official protests, we cannot say.
One side accepts the results, the other side does not, says Bill Maher. These are Bill Maher's homies in the streets.
Despite mass protests, however, this is also a moment for many Americans to celebrate, and hundreds of thousands of Donald Trump supporters have made their way to Washington for this inauguration. That's how clearly divisive Donald Trump is. He has people who absolutely love what he has to say, but love him or loathe him. What is clear is this is a momentous day for the United States and for the world, and what we're seeing is a historic day. It is a cliche, but it's very true.
Anyway, you get the point. One side accepts the results, the other side doesn't, says Bill Maher. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm holding in my baby brown libertarian fingers article from The Guardian, November 30, 2016, headline, U.S. election recount. Hillary Clinton supports hand counting Wisconsin ballots. Now, this is after she called Trump to concede the election. There was a lawsuit filed by Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate. Hillary joined the lawsuit and filed a separate motion to have the recount conducted by hand. Yet the Democrats are the ones that accept elections and Republicans do not, according to Bill Maher. Where's he been? Hillary repeatedly referred to Donald Trump as illegitimate, said the election was stolen. 25% of the Democrat congressional delegation did not show up for Donald Trump's inauguration. Can you imagine what would have happened if 25% of the Republicans refused to show up for Barack Obama's inauguration? They'd still be writing about it. John Lewis referred to Donald Trump as illegitimate. There hadn't been any investigation. Just the assumption that the Russians put him there. Jimmy Carter says he believes that the Russians put him there. He was called illegitimate over and over and over again. Yet Bill Maher says one side, meaning the Democrats, accept election results. The other side, meaning Republicans, do not. I just played you what happened on inaugural day in 2001 after George W. Bush got elected. Protests in the streets. Donald Trump, protests in the streets after he got elected. More protests on inauguration day, January 2017. By the people that, of course, are accepting the results of the election, right? You would have thought that maybe after Donald Trump got elected, took all 7 of the swing states, performed better than he did 4 years earlier, substantially improved the number of votes he got in California and in New York, that maybe, just maybe, the late night comics might back off a little bit. But not Jimmy Kimmel. Number 1, please.
I don't know, there aren't many things that explain this election better than the idea that there are people who believe voting is more flexible than Uber Eats. You can't change your vote. This is interesting, too. We looked up how many people have been searching the phrase, "Am I stupid?" It was a flat line all year until the election. And then after the election, it went through the roof. And it's still going up. And by the way, if you have to ask, the answer is yeah.
Still criticizing, still denouncing, still ridiculing in ways that they never did with Barack Obama in a million years. What happened to the monologues during the Obama years? Ridiculing the president. Didn't do it.